What's up, YouTube? It's the one and only Legend of Winning, aka Low, and Kawhi has finally made his decision. A decision that the entire NBA world has been anticipating for the last week. Kawhi Leonard has decided to sign with the Los Angeles Clippers, by many people's surprise, because for whatever reason, over the past few days, NBA insiders have told us that the Clippers were completely ruled out. Now, if that was the only news, I more than likely would not have made this video, but right after we learned that Kawhi was going to sign with the Clippers, immediately Paul George gets traded to the Clippers, and in return, the Oklahoma City Thunder receive a slew of assets. And what OKC is going to do next is a whole nother video in and of itself. But in this video, I'm going to make sure you get all of the information that you need, because there are a lot of moving parts. How exactly do both of these transactions affect the NBA? How good will the Clippers be moving forward? And what exactly are my opinions on not only this team, but also the Los Angeles Lakers, as you know, I'm a fan of that team. But first, let's go back to the facts and discuss some of these alleged rumors that have been circulating this story for the past couple of days now. And I'm pretty sure that everyone is aware that last year around this time, Kawhi Leonard found himself in a dispute with the San Antonio Spurs, and because of their disagreements and not seeing eye to eye, the Spurs eventually traded him to the Toronto Raptors. Now, to Kawhi's credit, the 28-year-old forward didn't complain, he didn't demand a trade, he toughed it out and actually led the Raptors to their first ever NBA championship. And many people may believe that might have been enough to actually convince Kawhi to stay. However, I think many people tend to forget when Kawhi was first demanding a trade from San Antonio, he was requesting to be traded to LA, since that is his hometown. So it shouldn't throw too many people off that eventually Kawhi signed in LA. Now, the team that he signed with was a bit questionable at the time because they didn't have another star caliber player. However, there have been some reports stating that Kawhi did not want to form a super team with the Lakers. And if that is true, God bless Kawhi, because even as a Laker fan, I really wasn't looking forward to a super team, because I just didn't feel like that was going to do the NBA justice. As we clearly can see, it's way more entertaining when teams have duos and you're battling with one another, and it seems as if everyone is on equal footing. But going back to everyone's initial reaction, no one understood why exactly Kawhi was going to sign with the Clippers, because even though, yes, the Clippers did make the playoffs last year, they didn't really have any other star caliber player, which thus brings us to the Paul George transaction. Allegedly, last week when Kawhi was in LA meeting with both the Lakers and Clippers, he also sat down with Paul George and convinced him to demand a trade from OKC and join him with the Clippers, which apparently Paul George was ecstatic about this and immediately demanded a trade. And in the past several days, the Los Angeles Clippers and the Oklahoma City Thunder have been working out the details, and this is the transaction that we came out with. Paul George obviously going to the Clippers, and in return, the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to receive Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari, 3 first-round unprotected picks from the Clippers. Those years are 2022, 2024, and 2026. A Miami Heat first-round pick that is also unprotected in 2021, and another Miami Heat first-round pick in 2023, but it is lottery protected. And then the rights to swap 2 first-round picks from the Clippers in 2023 and 2025. So basically, a lot of draft picks, a young guard in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Danilo Gallinari. However, Gallinari, he is on an expiring contract, so I don't necessarily know what exactly OKC is going to do long term, but that's for another video. With a Paul George trade done and with Kawhi Leonard signing with the Clippers, this now leaves LA with a starting lineup of Patrick Beverley, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Mo Harkless, and Montrezl Harrell. And then coming off the bench, you have Lou Will, Landry Shamet, Rodney McGruder, and potentially JaMychal Green and Zubac. And as I look at this potential depth chart, the Clippers this upcoming season will be a scary team. This is not just a roster with 2 star players and a bunch of miscellaneous pieces. This team has an identity that is obviously centered around defense. And then not only that, offensively, you have some solid floor spacers. A guy coming off the bench is going to give you instant offense in Lou Will. And then when it comes to both Paul George and Kawhi, they could both give you somewhere around 25 to 30 points, as both of them are great two-way players and are coming off of career seasons. Now, with all of the facts out of the way, what exactly does this mean for the rest of the league? First, let's talk about Toronto, because they obviously just lost Kawhi and didn't receive anything in return. And even though, granted, it is a tough pill to swallow, especially when you traded away a franchise player for a one-year rental, the reality is it was worth it. More than likely, DeMar DeRozan was never going to be able to elevate this team to those heights in which the outcome was going to be a championship. And even though, yes, I'm pretty sure some people will be upset about Kawhi, trust me, you all will get over it, because you are champions now. So don't be upset too long. I get it. He's arguably the best player in the NBA, but you got what you needed to get out of that relationship. Now, moving forward, what should we expect from Toronto? More than likely, they're just going to rebuild. After this season, basically the entire roster will be off of the books, which means that players such as Kyle Lowry, Serge Ibaka, and Marc Gasol are on expiring contracts. So throughout this upcoming year, it would not surprise me at all if you have multiple teams who are in the market for an expiring contract, and in return, the Toronto Raptors should expect some first-round picks, regardless if they're late first-round picks, and also more than likely will absorb a bad contract here or there, or potentially even take a risk on some younger players, which to me are pretty obvious moves. However, the thing that I'm most interested in is not some of the veterans, but some of the younger players, especially Pascal Siakam, because last year Siakam proved that his ceiling is way higher than expected. How high of a ceiling he has is still up for debate, because even though, yes, he was able to shine in big moments down the stretch of very important playoff games, he's still heavily flawed, and I would make an argument at best, at least so far, it seems as if he's best suited for the second or third option on the team. But at his age, as well as the money that he's getting paid, he is a huge steal for anyone who wants to acquire him through any type of transaction. However, if you are Masai, do you keep him and try to figure out how high his ceiling is, or do you just try to trade him off, or potentially even just try to acquire as many assets as possible in next year's offseason through a sign and trade? So it will be very interesting in what we see happen to players such as Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and Norman Powell, some of the more younger players who have improved and impressed over the past year or two. Now, moving on to the Los Angeles Lakers, and even as a fan, I have to openly admit, not getting Kawhi is going to sting really, really hard. And as I'm recording this right now, I'm already seeing some of the aftermath that comes with not signing Kawhi Leonard. The biggest reason why it was such a massive risk for the Lakers going out of their way to try to sign Kawhi wasn't because if they come up short, they're not going to have a good team, because the Lakers still have both LeBron and AD. The problem with pursuing Kawhi was waiting on his decision, and as each day passed us by, there were going to be less quality role players available through free agency. And if you're looking at some of these signings, Danny Green signing for a 2-year, $30 million contract, which to me is outrageous. Then the Lakers also brought back Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, which I'm not that big of a fan of whatsoever. And then there's some talks about JaVale McGee or potentially DeMarcus Cousins, and that still hasn't addressed the needs at the point guard position, as well as filling out the rest of the bench. Yeah, it's not looking too promising for the Lakers, at least when it comes to filling out their roster. But for the people out there who get a kick out of the Lakers not succeeding, or potentially even perpetuating this narrative that no one wants to play with LeBron, trust me when I say it's not that serious. At the end of the day, the Lakers are going to start off the season with 2 top 10 players on their roster. And finally, what exactly does this mean for the Clippers, and how good do I believe this team will be in this upcoming season? I have to say, I want to give a lot of credit to the Clippers, that front office, and Doc Rivers and that coaching staff. The Clippers, as well as the Nets this year, prove that you can shatter years and years of being a joke franchise as long as you continue to compete for a championship. LA just 2 short years ago had to hit the restart button on easily their most successful stretch in franchise history, and that was the Lob City era. And unlike every other franchise, and I promise you every other franchise would have done this, instead of just tanking and plummeting and trying to fish out for some draft picks, they decided to continue to compete, get some assets, and fight for postseason success, which is what they saw this year. And they even pushed the Golden State Warriors to 6 games, despite the fact that many people believed that they were going to be swept. And because of their success, I honestly believe that was a huge component to why Kawhi decided to go to the Clippers, because he's still in LA and play for a franchise that has been proven that they are going to fight for success rather than just tank. And I honestly believe, because of the attitude, because of this vision, as well as the outcome from both the Clippers and Nets, more than likely we should start to see some more teams looking at different ways to rebuild and continue to be successful, and not just try to tank towards the bottom and try to get some draft picks and rebuild through the draft. Now, when it comes to the team itself, I'm gonna be honest with you all. As a Laker fan, I am a bit concerned. About a week ago, I made a video claiming that the Lakers were going to win a championship, but I don't necessarily know if that's the case now. The Los Angeles Clippers have put themselves in a situation to where not only do they have 2 top 10 players in the NBA, but also they have a very quality bench. And I stated this in my Brooklyn Nets video on how important that is when it comes to building dynamic duos in the NBA, especially in today's league where you have 2 players taking up like 60 to 70% of the salary cap. And it's really, really hard to do so. So the fact that the Clippers were able to pull that off, again, just kudos to their front office. But defensively, this team is going to be fantastic, versatile. It's very obvious that that's going to be their identity moving forward. The Clippers have 2 dogs in their starting lineup with Patrick Beverley and Montrezl Harrell. And coming off the bench, you have Lou Wills, who's going to give you somewhere around 15 to 20 points. Then you have some really young shooters in Landry Shamet and Rodney Magruder. But arguably, you have 2 of the top 3 to top 4 two-way players in the league. And the only other player I would put in that conversation is either Giannis and or Anthony Davis. So the fact that you have not just 2 players who can go out there and give you somewhere between 23 to 27 points on a night-to-night basis, while also doing it rather efficiently, but you also have players who are going to give you elite level defense. Again, Paul George just came off of the best season of his career as he was an MVP candidate, and many people would argue, including myself, that Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the NBA. So I'm expecting this team to win roughly around 55 to 60 games. The only reason why I don't go up any more than that is simply because the Western Conference is tough. It's really tough. But with all that being said, people, please let me know what you think about the video in the comment section below. PG, Kawhi Leonard, the Los Angeles Clippers, and how good they're going to be in this upcoming season. Do you expect a championship from them? Because, to be honest with you, I could easily see this team winning a chip for the next couple of years. But until next time, I will see you all later. Peace.